Very good evening. You're watching India Today on social media. I'm Nabila Jamal bringing you the roundup of the day's news as always. Let me start with what's happening in Maharashtra. Top cop Param Bir Singh had approached the Supreme Court on all the allegations that he made against Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. And today the Supreme Court took up the case. It heard the plea of Param Bir Singh and said that Param Bir Singh will have to first knock at the doors of the High Court. Of course, the Supreme Court did take cognizance of all the allegations that he's made, saying it is serious allegation. These allegations are indeed serious, and it is in the jurisdiction of the High Court to observe this case. And the Supreme Court asked Param Bir Singh to approach now the High Court, which the lawyer of Param Bir Singh has said that they are going to be immediately approaching the High Court without any further ado. In fact, the Supreme Court also said that while observing that these are serious allegations here, Supreme Court asked for Param Bir Singh to use his same persuasive skills even at the High Court and ensure that he gets some relief there. Remember, Param Bir Singh had challenged his transfer and also asked for a CBI probe into all the allegations he's made against the Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh, including the extortion charges that he's leveled against the Home Minister. Also asking for a probe into Rashmi Shukla's report of cash for transfer, where Rashmi Shukla in the report had accused several top cops in the Maharashtra government, police officers within the police department, high level to lower level, all of them in a nexus, many of them in a nexus where money is exchanged for positions and transfers. Now, this is the allegation that Param Bir has made, and he's seeking for judicial probe into this, and of course knocked at the Supreme Court's doors. Now the Supreme Court has tossed it back to the High Court. Now, meanwhile, BJP on the other hand has escalated its attack against the Maharashtra government. BJP delegation today that was led by Devendra Fadnavis met with the governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari today and appraised him about all the happenings within the Maharashtra government currently, and also accused the Maharashtra government of trying to brush the entire allegation under the carpet only to try and save the Mahagadi government from crumbling. Devendra Fadnavis also addressed a presser there where he spoke about how Udav Thakurs knew about these serious allegations that were allegations and the questionable credibility of the Home Minister Anil Deshmukh, but yet he was saving Anil Deshmukh only because Udav Thakurs wanted to save the Maharashtra government, because there's a lot of dirt that he does not want to come out. In fact, Fadnavis also questioned Udav Thakurs' silence and questioned his silence about why was he so quiet when Rashmi Shukla presented this investigation, where she very well highlighted the kind of nexus among the police, within the police department itself, where they were giving money for positions and transfers, postings and transfers. Even though Udav Thakurs knew about it, BJP questions why didn't he act on it. So a lot of questions that the Mahagadi government, the Maharashtra government right now needs to answer, and it seems like the BJP is feasting on all these allegations that are coming forward within their own department. In fact, Param Bir Singh until 2 weeks ago, until he was the Commissioner of Police of Maharashtra, he was one of the most favoured men within the government and in Maharashtra's political scheme of things. But now that he's transferred, it seems like it all comes down crumbling like a pack of cards. Many question whether Param Bir Singh is just sour and bitter only because he was transferred. Why was he silent while he was in the position of the commissioner, as a commissioner? Mahagadi government now, of course, pointing fingers, quite naturally, as in their defense, pointing fingers at the BJP, saying it's a BJP's ploy and BJP's conspiracy to try and topple the Maharashtra government, and accusing Param Bir as well as Rashmi Shukla of being the stooges of the BJP. Now, this is the defense that the Maharashtra Mahagadi government has come up with. Now, while we're seeing all this brewing, we're looking at some fierce defense by the Mahagadi government, while a lot of them are now questioning whether or not the tainted, now with all the allegations, of course, the man in the spotlight is Anil Deshmukh, the Home Minister. Whether or not Home Minister Anil Deshmukh will resign, our political parties, including Shiv Sena, the three alliance partners, Shiv Sena, NCP and Congress, in favor of his resignation. Sources on ground, of course, our reporters as well, tell us that sources within the party itself are keen on making sure that Anil Deshmukh resigns, but they are mum about it. They're throwing their weight behind him, but they still seem vulnerable. Shiv Sena at large has said that they won't pressurize Anil Deshmukh to resign, but if you observe, Udav Thakurs has so far not made any statement. Congress, on the other hand, also very subtly has supported Anil Deshmukh, but on the other hand, it seems like they're having several internal meetings to try and discuss whether or not they must push for Anil Deshmukh to resign. While NCP, on the other hand, is the only, Sharad Pawar is the only man who seems to be backing his own party person, Anil Deshmukh. Now, let me cut across to poll-bound states. Let's start with West Bengal. We saw, in fact, India Today's news director Rahul Kanwal is currently on ground. He's campaigning through, he's on the campaign trail with Suvendu Adhikari, who's currently the man who's challenging Mamata Banerjee, the chief minister, in her own, in fact, in Nandigram. Here we're looking at Mamata Banerjee letting go of her traditional Bhawanipur seat and fighting Suvendu Adhikari in his turf. Mamata and Suvendu are at loggerheads right now on multiple fronts. They are fighting each other in that constituency. While Suvendu Adhikari was campaigning early today, there was quite some clash that took place between Suvendu Adhikari and the police personnel in Nandigram. In fact, the police personnel had blocked Suvendu Adhikari's route with barricades. They were asked to find another route. When asked, the police said they wanted to avoid law and order situation. There was a law and order threat, and therefore they barricaded that area. Now, Suvendu Adhikari and his men had quite some verbal duel with the police department. The police personnel there, many of the BJP members and Suvendu's supporters there accused the Bengal police of acting like TMC members. Those were the jibes that were hurled. They said that while you allow Mamata Banerjee to campaign wherever she wants, you're not allowing Suvendu to campaign where he has to campaign. So there was a little bit of a clash there. While that happens, we saw some big campaigns that were held. In fact, Narendra Modi himself was in Kanti today. Quite some fierce messages that Narendra Modi gave out while he was campaigning in Kanti. He spoke Sonar Bangla pitch. That was the pitch. Of course, development, Sonar Bangla is what the BJP has been setting their poll plank on. In fact, Prime Minister Modi hit out at Mamata Banerjee, accusing her of amassing all the central funds and not giving it to those deserving people. Starting from the funds that came in for Amphan, all the way to PM Kisan scheme, the money that was given from the centre to the state. Prime Minister Modi accuses Mamata Banerjee of not giving it to those deserving people. He says that we are sure people won't support Mamata Banerjee any longer because she has amassed all that money, the central funds that was given to the state. While we do know, on the other hand, Mamata Banerjee has constantly claimed that that money has not come to her, and even if it did, there was not proper information of who it had to be given to, and there was a lot of miscoordination and whatnot. So we're looking at a lot of tutu meme here over central funds, while the BJP constantly from day one of the campaign has claimed Mamata Banerjee has stopped money from reaching to those deserving people, whatever the central government has been giving. Now, of course, Narendra Modi, a lot of catchphrases. Very interesting to see how Prime Minister Modi spoke in Bengali. Not one or two catchwords or phrases. He actually spoke sentences at length, which was really nice to see because the man really knows how to campaign. He knows how to capture the public's imagination, and he's done it fabulously well. It's worked many places. Will it work in West Bengal? That remains to be seen. Let me cut across to Tamil Nadu. We're looking at a poll campaign heating up in Tamil Nadu with Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy now hitting out at DMK Chief MK Stalin ahead of polls accusing DMK of being land grabbers. That's the kind of statement that Chief Minister himself has made. He said that DMK has amassed almost 16,000 acres of land in the past, and it was Amma, under the Amma government, the AIADMK, they actually retrieved that land back and gave it back to those it belonged to. In fact, he accused DMK that if at all, he told people, the people where he was campaigning, the people who were there present, he said, if at all DMK member is voted to power in your area, then be sure that your land is going to be grabbed by those by the DMK politicians. So this is the accusation that the AIADMK has made against the DMK, the Chief Minister himself. While we see a sudden twist here. Speaking of Sasikala and the gamut of the political scene here, we're looking at a sudden change of posturing of the AIADMK towards Sasikala. Remember, all the while AIADMK top leadership shunted out Sasikala and did not want her to enter the party, and they said absolutely no way that she will be entering the AIADMK again. doors are shut for her. In fact, she and her nephew were thrown out of the party while she was in prison itself. But it now seems like there seemed to be a sudden turn of events. Not too sure whether it is because of Sasikala's popularity on ground. They're a little scared if they don't soften their stance towards her, then will they lose out on that vote base? And therefore, it seems like now the AIADMK is slowly opening up to the idea of Sasikala coming back into the party. And they've said, OPS particularly, the Deputy Chief Minister has said, we don't mind Sasikala coming back into the party. We can consider it on humanitarian grounds only and only if she really acknowledges the current party structure, does not try to fiddle with it. The party structure should remain the same. She can come in, but she has to honor the way the party is. The structure should be the same. She cannot order around and take over things. And this is the kind of message that OPS has given, that the AIADMK now can reconsider bringing Sasikala back into the party on humanitarian grounds. Not too sure what he means by saying humanitarian grounds, because Sasikala herself said that she wants to step out of active politics and she urged people to vote for AIADMK, and she seems absolutely fine. Not too sure what kind of humanitarian grounds that he wants Sasikala back into the party. Well, but nonetheless, we're looking at a change of posture towards Sasikala ahead of polls. I'd like to make that clear. All right. Kamalasan, in the meanwhile, has hit out in a video, a very exclusively recorded video. Kamalasan has hit out at the BJP and the AIADMK, saying that the Modi, in fact, indirectly attacked Modi, claiming that North Indians are dictating the language, the food, and the thought process of a South Indian. And he says that, in fact, sharpening his attack on Modi itself, Kamalasan says that just because someone's land is in the north on the map, it doesn't make that piece of land as priority land. And that North Indians cannot dominate the food, the thought, and the food habit, language or thought of a South Indian. And he mocked at Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy that despite Modi or the North Indians doing such a thing, Palaniswamy is going to Delhi to meet them with folded hands. This was a kind of mockery that Kamalasan made while he hit out at the AIADMK as well as the BJP while on his campaign trail. In fact, he's made this exclusive video and circulated it. All right, let me cut across to a big development here. In fact, India Today carried out an exclusive interview with the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan. Gaurav Sawant carried out this interview with Minister Mohammad Hanif Amtar. And this Foreign Minister of Afghanistan made a startling revelation that Pakistan has continued to support Taliban, and this has adversely impacted the peace process in Afghanistan. Somehow, it echoes the sentiment of India. Constantly, the terror activities has been backed by Pakistan, and India has been crying foul time immemorial. And somehow, it appears now Afghanistan also has come forward to support India on the same stance, not just supporting India or echoing India's sentiment, but also reiterating that Pakistan is really doing nothing to curb terror. And the Foreign Minister has claimed very clearly in the interview that Pakistan is outrightly supporting Taliban, and that's now hindering peace process even in Afghanistan. Similar situations in India as well. This was what the interview had. In fact, you could log on to indiatoday.in to actually listen to the whole interview. Quite some explosive claims that he makes. All right, on a final note, as I wrap here, I'd like to take you through the COVID-19 situation. It's quite serious across the country. We're looking at rising cases, particularly in Delhi and Mumbai. Delhi, about 1,000 odd cases in just 24 hours that's been reported. In Mumbai, 3,500 cases in 24 hours has been reported. While this respective governments across the states have now implemented fresh curbs. So do log on to your respective state governments' websites to see what are the new curbs in place. But celebrations like Holi has been banned, Shab-e-Barat has been banned. Currently, Delhi and Mumbai very strict with any outdoor celebration, be it Holi, Shab-e-Barat, or even other festivities. In fact, strict vigilance across all places. Similar ban has also been imposed in Chandigarh with restrictions on organizing any Holi celebrations. In fact, Holi has been barred in Lucknow as well. Ranchi also has imposed section 144. So if you are in any of the cities, urban cities across the country, do make sure that you check on the imposition, the restrictions on ground before you actually plan any festivities or celebration. Please do be safe and cautious, because now we're looking at a possible second wave. Amir Khan, actor, is also tested positive of COVID-19. He was shooting with Kiara Advani for an ad. Kiara has tested negative, but he's tested positive. All right, that's it for now. A final update on Twitter now coming out with fresh guidelines. We are looking at Twitter imposing new guidelines ahead of polls in India, saying that anybody putting out hateful or instigative messages on Twitter or anything that will instigate violence particularly will be acted upon. Their accounts will be suspended. This is what Twitter announced a little while earlier. On that note, I'm going to wrap here. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.